be surprised at how popular this campus is. We're pleasantly surprised, though, and I know for a fact that the people that are sitting here is the cream of the crop of what our nation has to offer. And so I thank you for your interest, and we're very keen to have you here today, and we hope that so far you've had a good experience. I know that we've been a little bit thrown by the number of people. We were hoping only to have one program in this room, and then we added yesterday in a haste the other one when we realized we were not going to make it, and we had to add a third one this afternoon. And so that's why people are running around like mad. So I hope that you've been getting a good experience, though, so far. You should have been following this program, but I think you might have had certain things turned around a little bit because of that. But as I say, you would have spoken to Juniortukkie, you would have seen the video. I'm going to talk a little bit about introducing the campus to you, and a little bit about our selection process. And then at 4:30, we'll be exploring the campus and taking it further from there. Now, if you didn't mean to come to Juniortukkie this afternoon, then you're in the wrong place. Okay. Many people, when they come in here and they see all the signs that says Juniortukkie on the right-hand side and Juniortukkie on the left, they have no idea where to go. And so I would just like to give you a quick sort of sense of orientation of where you are at the moment. That is not Juniortukkie. That's not where we are now. That is, in fact, Juniortukkie. How this works is similarly to Soshanguve and Anlin and Brooklyn. They are all suburbs. Juniortukkie is also a geographical area where veterinary science has become the sort of a name and the discipline that's associated with this area. That part on that side is not the university. Can you guys see? Is it light enough? Okay. This on the left-hand side, that's where we are. That's the University of Pretoria. That is the Faculty of Veterinary Science, and this is our campus here on the left-hand side. Now, on that side, I had to say this is the OVI. It's the Juniortukkie Veterinary Institute, and also they do some biological products there. And as I say, this is the university. Now, you probably came in through that gate, and this is where we are now, right in the middle of the center of everything that is veterinary science in this country. All right, that's the campus where all the academic stuff typically happens, and that's the hostels where all the fun, studying happens. All right, our facilities are as follows. This is one of our lecture halls. We've got 4 of these bigger ones and then 2 smaller ones for the veterinary nurses. They're all equipped with the latest equipment and with internet and cables and sound and everything. So you rest assured that in terms of educational technology, your child will not be disadvantaged. We've got lovely computer laboratories. We've got good study areas, a dedicated veterinary science library. And then what the students usually like most is Wi-Fi hotspots all over the place. But it's not for torrents. No, not for torrents. And those of you who don't know, I'm so glad. Don't ask, don't find out. Just know that the Wi-Fi is not for torrents. And then we've got a lovely new multi-purpose skills laboratory, and that's the new building that you might have seen as you came in on the right-hand side here. They're building it. They're hoping to have it ready by the middle of the year, so definitely by next year when you come, you'll have that facility up and running. And it's meant to not replace the activities that we do with live animals, but it gives you more opportunities to practice. So instead of practicing on poor old pregnant Matilda, you will now practice on breeding Betsy in the skills lab. She's plastic, but she's got everything that the real cow's got. She's got the calf as well, like the real, and we can simulate all the kinds of different things that happens to the real cow we can do with poor old breeding Betsy. And breeding Betsy is much more relaxed about having been prodded and and stuck and everything. And so it's good for students to have the experience there. Once they're ready, then they go into the field and they do the 1 or 2 final things on a real animal, and they don't damage themselves or the poor old animals. Now we've got the most amazing clinical facilities here. We've just had a group of international experts and auditors over here last year. And the report tells us that our facilities and the technologies that we have and the equipment that we have is world class. So what you know is that when your child had studied here, you know that they would have a degree that makes them globally competitive. It's not just that they're an African, they'll be a huge success here in Africa as well, anywhere in the continent, but certainly also in many of the other areas of the world where we have accreditation relationships with. And because of our facilities on this side, it's possible for us to grow or to develop students of world-class standards. We don't only look after their minds, we actually feed them from time to time. We allow them to withdraw their money, and we have a post office close by just across the street at the OVI actually, where you can send them the care packages when you get lonely and you miss them there on the farm, where they no longer sit in the chicken pen and play with the chickens. And then what we have is lovely gardens. I'm sure you've already seen it, but this afternoon when you go out and you walk around, hopefully the weather permitting, you'll see that we've got such a lovely campus. I think the students that are here are so extremely privileged. Our Hatfield campuses and the Mamelodi ones and the Groencliff ones, they're really nice too. But man, this is good. You drive against the traffic, come here, it's like being on a farm, it's fresh air. You sit here in a stuffy lecture hall and you go out and there's the cows and the horses and it's bliss. It's absolutely wonderful to study on this campus. If you want to study here and you want to stay in the hostels, the first year of studies in the BVSC program, and the BVSC program you must know by now is the program for veterinary doctors. The other one is the diploma for veterinary nurses. So the doctors one is 6 years, but the first year you actually study on the Hatfield campus. I'm sorry, but you have to. It's a broad foundational science year. There's some math, there's some physics and some chemistry, some introductory biology and some other animal science subjects, nutrition and so on, that you do there. And so if you want accommodation for the first year, you'll probably spend your first year in Hatfield. Then in the second year, once you've passed all your subjects, not only just some of them, all of them, then we allow you to come to this beautiful farm and you can study from here further. You'll then join us in Huis Onderstepoort, or the Onderstepoort residence, which is that fenced off area there on the side, and it's approximately 10 minutes. If I walk, it's about 10. If you walk, or if you're late for class, you'll probably do it in 5. All right. It's open for all students. We've got the vets there, we've got the nurses there, we've got some postgraduate students in there, and even some international students. So it's a good mix, but they're all vet students. So you'll probably miss the boys that are here. They always say the guys on Hatfield campus are so lucky. So every year there's a new intake of teachers, new intake of physiology, lots of different other new intakes first years. This campus you only get vet science nurses and vet science doctors. Those are the only ones that you'll meet here. But we do have lovely computer areas, study areas, dining room, safe parking, and really quite nice sporting facilities as well. And what's nice is students have full access to all the facilities at Elsie de Villiers and on Hatfield and on Groencliff and on all the other campuses as well. So if you are a keen sport person, then you don't need to worry, you'll be looked after in terms of that too. If you don't want to stay in the hostel or you don't get in because of space, then that is where Onderstepoort is at the moment. That is where Hatfield is. That bit there is the mountain that you drive over, and approximately around about there would Hatfield be, there somewhere. All right, so if you stay in private accommodation, people usually ask me, where must we, my child, she can't study with a group and noises and all the drinking that I hear is going on, so we've got to put them quietly in a garden flat somewhere. These are the areas where you can look at Anlin, Doornpoort, Pretoria North, Citadel, Wonderboom. Those areas are approximately 5 to 15 kilometers away. And those students that sit here, you can tell your mom, I said, if you stay there, you probably need transport. Unless you can come up with, some other arrangement with others, it's best to have a car if you drive by yourself. We've got a very active student body, and we're very privileged to have such strong kids here. We've got the OPVSC that looks after the general population and the academics and all of that, but we also have a house committee, the HARCA, that looks after the OP residence people, and then in class we've got class captains as well that look after the academic support. So at least your student will have someone who looks after them only from a student perspective. Of course, we'll also look after them from the university perspective, and that is there'll be a little CSC, the Client Service Center. We've got a mini one here just by the steps where you came up on the right-hand side, where students can do their registration and their financial stuff and their accommodation and things. So all of that's here. They don't have to go to Hatfield to organize those things. We also have some tutoring and online support for students. We've got medical support. There's a doctor that comes once a week and a nurse that comes about 3 times a week. There's also some counseling, and I always joke and say, well, the psychologist is way busier than the nurse. And I'm afraid I can tell you why. It's because where you come from, there in Klerksdorp or Thohoyandou or Kroonstad, you're the brightest in your class, right? You're number 1 since grade 2. Since Johnny left, you're number 1. All you've been in the whole school. You had no competition. You were the Victrix Ludorum and the academic and the head prefect and everything. And then suddenly you come here and you spot that there's 7 other students that are cleverer than you. They actually have better results. And those kids go, oh, woo, and they line up there by the psychologist, and the first week or 2, you know, she's got no time. So I'm just kidding, but at least you know that you can feel safe, that there'll be emotional support as well. Because, and I can tell you this, don't think that this is a sissy course. This is a really difficult course, even for a bright matriculant with 8 distinctions. We get people come down to earth so quickly. Maybe not so much in the first year in Hatfield, because they're together with lots of other BSc students and there's still a pace that they can manage with. By the time they come here in their second years, there's a big shock on the system, because it's no longer just general science, it's very applied, there's lots of technical stuff, and it's not stuff that they come with from school. It's nothing that school prepared you. You didn't learn about the anatomy of a reptile when you were in school. This is now new stuff. It's got all these scientific names. You cannot imagine that someone expects you to actually study all of that for the one test. All of it, not pages 7 to 14, and then 21 and 22 is really important. No, all of it. So, and that's just for semester test 1. Then there's another stack for semester test 2, and yet another one for the exam. So it's hard work. So I want to say, if you're not keen on working hard, it's probably good not to come, because you'll waste your mommy's time. She'll buy you that car, and you'll have to pay all of it back because you're not going to be able to make the degree. All right. So, but we do, on the other hand, there, I've got to show you there. We're very keen on developing a well-rounded human being. We don't want to send a vet brain out there. We want to send a human out there that can work with people, that can associate with others, and that can socialize as well. So we do organize quite heavily social, cultural, and religious sport activities to make sure that your child doesn't get deprived and only sit with the books. I always say, if you work hard, you get to play hard. But it's not 50-50, okay? Don't tell your mama I said so. I didn't say 50-50. Work hard, you get to play hard. All right. I often get questions about bursaries. NSFAS is typically the first stop for students who don't have financial support. Typically they look at the parents' combined income. If it's less than a certain amount, they will allow you to apply. Typically what they do is they give you a loan at the beginning, and if you're very successful, there is a chance that they can convert it into a bursary. If you don't do well, then of course you've got to pay it all back if you fail. All right. Other options for bursaries is the DAF, the Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries Department, and also the South African Police and the Defence Force. Quite good options. I must tell you though that they're typically keen on giving bursaries to students who come from far rural areas. We do have a situation where we have quite a number of vets in the Gauteng area, and there are limited vets out there in the rural areas, and they strongly encourage this by giving bursaries to students who come from those far-lying areas. All right, Veterinary Foundation, the University of Pretoria, can go on the website. There's some more funding opportunities there as well. So now we get to what it is that we offer here. VSc program, 6-year program. Once you're done with that, you could also continue with either an honours or a master's degree. If you go that way, then you become a specialist in your field, and if you go that way, you become a professor, and you come to us. All right, so there's opportunities to articulate in further postgraduate studies. On the other side, we have the diploma in veterinary nursing. At the moment, it's only a 2-year course, but we are working on curriculating a 3-year bachelor's degree. And I must tell you, this program is highly sought after. We've got the most amazing feedback from the vets out there in terms of the vet nurses that we train here. They do say that in many cases they often prefer to appoint a vet nurse rather than a young vet who's just qualified, because they're hands-on and they mean so much more in the practice, and they come slightly cheaper than the vet does. So this is we've changed it from the 2-year to the 3-year program to ensure that we get the degree status for the students. But I must tell you, currently as the diploma stands there, it is already worth a 3-year qualification. It's a lot of hard work that goes in there, and it's a steep course, and people mustn't underestimate the hard work and the level at which we pitch the academic work in that program. All right, career opportunities, I'll just quickly run through them. You can go to a private practice or a mixed practice, state veterinary services, there's some opportunities in public health, many diagnostic laboratories employ vets and vet nurses. There's research opportunities, animal science laboratories, wildlife management opportunities, and if all else fails, you could also come to the academia. Become a professor and come and work here and come back. So these are all the different opportunities, many to see from. This is the one that I think most of you want to know, and probably the most questions will be about. How do I get selected? You must have heard that we get loads and loads of people applying, and all of you have stories about how someone with 8 distinctions didn't get in. Am I right? Yeah, it's because those with 9 distinctions took the places. All right, it's an easy answer. All right, so there are 4 categories that we select on, and I'll focus on the school leavers because I think the majority of people here are still in school, and you're the ones who want to have this information today. So for school leavers, this is what we want. We want an APS score of at least 32 in your grade 11 mark. Okay, now this means some of you sit here, easy, I've got a 42. Yes, but we start counting at the top, and when the positions are filled, we draw the line. So if you come in with a 32, it depends. Okay, it depends on how strong the group is that applies with you. If there are many 42s and 40s and 38s and 36s that come in as well, you're probably going to be below the cutoff point. So that's the very minimum that you can come in with in the normal program on your grade 11 marks. All right, you have to in your grade 12 at least get the same APS, or higher of course, to retain your place. If you drop an APS score, or you drop it, especially if you drop it below 32, then we'll have to reconsider your results. What's important? Only 3 subjects that we look at for applications. 1, English, because we want you to also be able to talk to the owners. We want you to read through the materials, and we don't want you to only be a good vet for the animals. Okay, we want that full-rounded person. So the English is quite important for us. The math is quite important, and physical science. Minimum of a 60. If you come in once again with a 60, you're going to work really hard. That's the absolute bottom line. If you come in with less than that, you are going to struggle, and you probably won't make it. And that's why we've put the benchmark there. What we do this year is we also look at students between 30 and 31, because it might be that they just had a really bad exam, or they might have been a bad teacher in matric, and they might have not been prepared well. For students who come in with an APS between 30 and 31, we then have the extended program, which means we add another year to the course. Instead of 6, it's then becomes 7 years. And in that first year at the Mamelodi campus, which is a beautifully well looked after, well-resourced campus as well, we then give you basic introductory math, basic science, basic physics. We give you some life orientation skills, study skills, reading skills, all the requirements that you need to catch up. And once you've catch up, then you start in with a normal program and continue from there onwards. But it's a small category, okay? It's not a big category. The majority of our students come from the normal APS of 32 category. Closing date is the 31st of May. Applications did actually open on Saturday already. If you're anything like me, I'm also a mum of a grade 12 learner this year. 10 o'clock on Saturday, my application was in. We knew that it was done, it's in there. We encourage you strongly to do it online and not to bring us the papers. It just takes quickly, you've got control over what's on the system, and you get immediate confirmation that your things are there. All right, then you also need to do the NBT. Now the NBT is not our baby, it's your baby to go and arrange and do that, and that's why I'm giving you the website address there. So if you want to know where to do it and when to do it, that's the website where you'll get all the answers from. Our request is that you do it before the 12th of July. So from the 12th of July onwards, we'll be drawing those results, taking all the applicants, get their NBT results from the benchmark guys, and we'll be adding it. So you don't have to bring us your results. You must just be sure that you have done the test by then. And the reason why we put such a strong emphasis on the NBT is because we realize that schools differ. Your school might be kind and nice, and they say, I'm going to give you a good mark that you can get into this vet science thing that you want to do, and I'm giving you really high marks, and based on your grade 11, you then get in. The next school next to it says, man, I'm going to be tough on you. I'm going to teach you to learn really hard, and you're going to struggle with this grade 11 exam. But then by the time you write exams in matric, it will be a breeze. You'll glide through it like nothing. And so because of those disparities, we have to now make the NBT test compulsory as well, so that we at least have something to measure your results by. Then we also will be sending you a value-added form that you've got to complete for us. And we've brought this in for one single reason. In my office, I sit on a weekly basis, and I go through a box of tissues within 2 weeks. I kid you not, within 2 weeks, with moms that come and sit there. And I can tell you the story. They all start, you're probably going to be there too. I'm going to see some of you in my office as well. You're going to tell me that since your daughter was 3, she wanted to be a vet. Nothing else but a vet. This is her life. She wanted to do this. When you looked for her, she was there in the hen pen. She was playing with the chickens. You couldn't get her out of there. You had to go and drag her to come and bath at night. I've heard all those stories. Everyone who sits here is passionate about becoming a vet. We have to have something to see that it's real. And what we now ask you to do is whatever you've done in your past to show your interest. You might have volunteered at the SPCA, you've volunteered over weekends with a local vet, or you might have gone to a farm, a dairy farm where they produced stuff. So when you've been there, you give us that information, you put it into your value-added form, and you give us documented proof of your time there and what you've done there, and then we consider that as well. So that students with a good enough academic history, but also with a passion are the ones that we select, and not just the guys who comes with a good brain and nothing else. And because they sort of said, okay, yeah, I'll do vet science. We don't want those. We want the ones who are absolutely passionate, and the value-added form helps us select those kids. All right, once again, the due date for those will be the 12th of July. You'll only get them once we start working on these applications that are coming in now. But we want those value-added forms by the 12th of July so that we can count the marks and work from there. Then we also do have 3 other categories. The previous university experienced students who studied something else and now want to come over. Also some bursary students and also some international students. I'm not going to go through their requirements. I think most of us today are interested in the school leaver side. Just so that you know, you're not just competing with your own friends, you're also competing with first years in the system already who fell out last year and who's desperate to be here and is working their days and their nights to come and have good results so that by the end of the first semester or by the end of the year, they can be selected into that category there. All right. What's really important for you to know when you do your application is we only look at the first options. If you indicate BVSC as your first option, we're happy to look at you because that list is really long and the cutoff point is really high. By the time we reach the second choice, it will be 7 years from now. So your chances of getting in if you indicated BVSC as your second choice are virtually nil. Okay, so I've seen a guy walking on campus the other day with a t-shirt and he said, real doctors treat more than one species. So if you want to be a real doctor, then put BVSC as your first option. If you want to be one of those others who play with the mouse and with other body parts, then put BVSC as a second. All right, 190 students is the max of the cohort. We don't fill it all at once at the beginning of the year. The first year is a smaller group, and then in the middle of the year we add some more students. At the end of the year we fill some more. And by the end of the first year we then have a full complement of 190 students, and those students then come to this campus and they take the rest of the years here. All right, I quickly want to run through the BVSC, the DVN students as well. Diploma in veterinary nursing. 50 students max per year. Currently, as I said, a 2-year diploma, and we are working on making it into a 3-year degree program that gives it the recognition that it deserves in the field out there. Highly sought after, as I said. Lots of job opportunities for students. Here we ask for an APS of 24, but because we regard the academic pressures as being something that you can only do if you've done well in maths, English, math, science, and biology. We also put that as a prerequisite. You have to have at least 50% to come into this program for those subjects. Now, it's important to note that for BVSC, the Doctors of Veterinary Nursing, the program for the veterinary doctors, you don't need biology because we have in the 6 years enough time to build in the animal biology and all the things that we need you to know. Whereas for the nurses, because of the short time, we don't have time to catch up with that biology, and so we want them to actually come with biology foundation already. Once again, same as the other place, for the other program, closing date is the 31st of May. Once again, the NBT has to be done by yourself by the 17th the 12th of July. Also, the value-added form has to be in by the 12th of July. Similarly, we also have a category for previous university experience students, some bursary students, and also some international students. So once again, they compete with all of those for those 50 places. And exactly as with the BVSC, they have to indicate DVN as a first option to be considered in this program. All right, I've actually made a mistake and I want to correct it now. That's not the 17th of May, it's actually the 24th of May. There's another open day, it's the university's open day. So you could also go to the other campuses and walk around there, and there will be bus support also that brings people to this campus once again. So if there are questions that now that you've seriously started thinking about this, still need to ask, you're welcome to join us again on that day and come and ask again and maybe have some more time to walk around and get all your queries and questions out of the way. All right, now when I'm done here, you'll be let out and you'll be have some time to explore the beautiful campus and the facilities that we have here. Most of you would have gotten a map here in the first table once you've gotten in, but also in those booklets at the back, the faculty brochure on the back, there's in the back somewhere there's a map. So you can walk around. I want to tell you about a couple of places so that you know where to go and explore and walk around. We are now here in the Arnold Tyler building, as I say, in the center of the campus. There where the cross is where the new multi-purpose skills lab is, the building that we're building. You could walk around to the front. This is the hospital. There will be an OPVSC student there. They're all wearing these black blazers with the white golf shirts. And you could ask them, they will tell you about the hospital and the facilities that we have there. There's some horses for the center of the equine center there at the back. There's some paddocks there with lots of different animals in there. Round about there'll be a student as well waiting to answer your questions, and you can talk to them about that area. And then we have the pathology labs on that side. You can also go, I always say that if something goes wrong there, we send our students there, our patients there. If it goes well, we send them there. So that's the pathology lab. We have in the corner there of the campus, we've got the beagles, the doggies. There's some piggies. There's some horses. Lots of interesting things to see there. There'll also be a student to help you and talk to there. The anatomy labs, the halls where the students do the dissections. And I also said to the other groups, if you go in there today and you faint, then it's probably a good idea to put BVSC or DVN as your second option. Okay. All right. And then if you also want to see the accommodation, you can just follow that path, and there where the road splits, there'll be an OPVSC member as well to sort of give you an indication of what the hostels look like, and they'll be telling you a little bit more there. All right. If there are any further questions after today that you need answered before the next open day, you're welcome to speak to Raranzu Golele. He's our recruitment officer, or Henriette van der Walt. She's the student administration officer looking after our prospective students. Okay, so I'm going to end off now and let you go so that you can go and explore the campus. But if there are any burning questions, I said that I'll be available around here. I'm not going to speak individually. I want people to come and, who wants to ask questions, to come and sit down. We'll have some from the other venues as well. But for the majority, I would want you to now go and explore. I'll be around here and answering questions for at least another hour.